This is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. And so we're going to get started right away with our guest today. So in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Jerry Acuff. I'm the CEO of a consulting company called Delta Point that's located in Scottsdale, Arizona. And we've worked with 17 of the top 100 companies in the world on how to increase sales by being more effective and more efficient.
Awesome. Lots of good experience, it sounds like. Well, I look forward to hearing from you today. So question number 2, what's the best thing about being a business leader?
Watching other people be successful. I mean, there's just no greater thrill in business than knowing that you had something to do with somebody else's success.
It's a good thing to walk away at the end of the day knowing that.
It absolutely is.
Well, great. Question number 3. I hear from other leaders that a lot of times the people strategy in their business can be more difficult, more frustrating sometimes than the actual business strategy in their business. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's not true for me. The people strategy is pretty simple. You just got to love your people. If you do that, everything else will be fine. The business strategy, I think, is far more challenging because the world changes so much. I mean, this COVID-19 thing is a perfect, example of how difficult you could have the right strategy up until March the 15th, and then everything's out the window. So I think the people strategy is much easier.
Okay, well, good. All right. So question number 4, what strategy would you like to share with other business leaders today?
Well, I mentor 4 Division I college basketball coaches, and I do obviously lots of leadership work in our business, but I think it's pretty simple, and that is you have to love your people. And I tell leaders, fall in love with your people. Now, I don't mean like you want to date them. I mean, you got to love them. But here's the key. You got to love them for what they are, not for what you wish they were.
Right.
And a lot of people get tied up by wishing people were something that they're not. Great leaders understand that it's my job to find out what your capabilities are, what your greatness is, and I have to bring that out in you. And so the only way that I can do that is you have to believe that I really care about you, which means I got to demonstrate that I care about you. I got to show that my interest is in making you successful, knowing that if I can make my employees successful, I'll be successful as well. But the only way that you'll ever get enough trust and so that someone will actually listen to you and want to develop whatever capabilities that they need more growth and development in is if they really think you care about them and if you love them.
Yeah, people don't want to hear what you have to say unless they really know that you care and you have their interest in mind. Otherwise, it just goes in deaf ears, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great advice. All right. Question number 5. What other successful CEOs and business owners would you like to acknowledge here or you think would be good on a podcast?
Well, I would start with Andre Thornton. Andre Thornton is the CEO of Whitman Consulting. He is probably the best leadership expert I have personally ever met. Now, I'm biased because he and I went to the same college, and he's on the executive committee of a board that I run. He's brilliant. And then the other person would be Troy Korsgaden, Korsgaden. Troy is an icon in the insurance business and a genius business expert and leadership expert.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to reaching out to them and seeing if maybe they would like to be on the podcast and getting to know them. All right. So kind of a final fun question, number 6. Tell me who's your favorite past boss?
Well, that's a hard question to answer because the first 3 bosses I had in the pharmaceutical business were the 3 best bosses in the history of the world. But it would have to be my 3rd boss because he changed my life. He actually told me one day that being a regional manager was beneath me, that I needed to run the company, and he would not stop advocating on my behalf until I was running the company. And that concept had never crossed my mind. I was a redneck from Memphis. who would have been happy making 150 grand a year. But yet 5 years later, I was running that company, and I would never have been there had he not cared enough about me to get me to see capabilities that I could not see myself.
That's
Don
awesome.
Cutcliffe, by the way, is his name. Don Cutcliffe, and I think he's early 80s in Tampa, Florida, and I love him as much today as I did when I was 37, which would have been 34 years ago when he told me that.
Well, it sounds like it developed into a lifelong friendship as well. So,
yeah, not only that, I mean, his son is now one of my clients.
oh, really? Well, cool. Awesome. Well, it has been fun having you on today. Before we leave, though, can you tell people how they can get a hold of you or find you?
Yeah, our website is www.deltapoint, that's all one word, .com, just deltapoint.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, and with that, this is again Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where you can follow us on iTunes at Weaver Business Coaching or on LinkedIn. Connect with us. And until the next episode, we wish you the best success.